Welcome to the Night Temple, a weekly podcast about art, memory, and inspiration.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Night Temple. We're here today with Olive, the leader of Green-House.
Hello.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. I'm excited to chat today.
Yay! And we've known each other for quite a while, like years.
Yeah.
And
It's been like 4 years now, I think.
you even took amazing photos at our wedding.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was glad I found something to do. I was like, I need to help.
You were like amazing.
Yeah,
Those photos
totally.
are
Oh,
so
thank
good.
you.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you in this capacity. I don't think, I know all of this information about you that I'm about to ask or that we're about to ask.
Yeah.
By the way, the Night Temple is hosted by myself, Carisa, and Andrew of Night Tongue.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so, okay. So to start with, what was... We're going to start at the beginning. So what was your entrance into music like? Like, what inspired you to make music? Because you're an incredible musician.
Thank you.
Like, I've heard, multiple projects of yours, and they're all incredible.
Thank you.
and
Yeah, I like to
amazing.
do a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like I it's hard to like look at. It's like I've always just loved music, you know? I feel like you relate to that, right? It's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
for some reason this like clicked with me and I liked it. But I also think my mom wanted that to happen because she also likes music. She didn't really like have a lot of opportunity to work with music throughout her life. She still wants to. But it's kind of that thing too. It's like having the parent that's like, we're going to get a lot of sing-along tapes and stuff like that, you know? Which were really popular in the 90s, the sing-along tapes for a lot of stuff. It probably still is, but now it's, just on like YouTube. But yeah, and then for some reason, I guess when I was in school, I wanted to join choir, and then for some reason, I agreed to join like the Philharmonic Youth Choir.
Wow.
And I say for some reason because I like didn't like to do extracurricular activities, and my mom never forced me to do it.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I just wanted to do it, which is very out of character for me as a small kid because I like was really shy and like you had to like this was one of those things where you had to like audition. And so I'd have to go into this room with a bunch of like adults and sight read and like
Whoa.
like just like shaking.
How
My
old
sister
were
was
you?
more of a ham. She loved that shit. But I guess when we started, I probably would have been like maybe 10 or 11. So like still fairly young.
Yeah.
Terrified.
Yeah.
But like I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember like hating that like sight reading and stuff, but I remember just like loving the feeling of singing with a group of people, like that high that you get that just feels like
Yeah.
Yeah.
like God presence, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Well, what did you sing?
Oh God, we sang a lot of really cheesy stuff because we were like a youth choir, so we would
Yeah.
like all the holiday concerts, right?
Yeah. All the
And it's
Christmas
all like
stuff.
all the Christmas stuff mostly, and then like a little smattering of Hanukkah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, like typical like American holiday concert stuff.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we would do Broadway pieces, and sometimes and also just like a lot of classical stuff.
Yeah.
And I kind of hated the structure of classical music. So as I got older, I just kind of didn't want to do that anymore. And then I really wanted to be in like punk bands by the time I was like 13, 14. But at the time, like in South Florida, growing up, in the like late 90s, early 2000s, like the boys were really mean. They would like rip CDs out of my hand and be like, girls don't listen to punk, and like girls can't be in punk bands.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's intense.
So I really wanted to try it, but didn't get to try that until I was older. And then also just like where I was, there wasn't like a huge like music scene and stuff. It wasn't like a big city. So yeah, as I got older, I just kind of like ended up being like this kind of shut-in weirdo that would like collect world music instruments, especially the ones that were useless to play with other people, like mouth harps and stuff. Got like really into that, and like random flutes. And I would just like
Mouth harps.
Yeah, I really love them.
Have you heard of these?
Like
one of the oldest instruments known to humankind.
Really?
Yeah.
How do I not know about
Was it-
mouth
was it-
harps?
Because they're useless.
Yeah.
I just...
I
They're
really
cool,
kind of want one.
but they're useless. I can show you. I still have a collection of them.
Okay.
So I
Mouth
yeah.
harps.
There's a Leonard Cohen song with one though, right? What is
Is
it? I
there?
can't remember.
Probably.
Are
I
they-
mean, there's
are
so
they-
many things with mouth harps in it that like
Yeah.
you wouldn't like once you become familiar with the sound, you're like, oh, that's what that is.
Okay.
It was like this weird, like twangy, like kind of sound. Like,
Really?
typically, I mean, I could get into it. They're mouth harps from like all over the world. Like almost every culture's made mouth harps.
Okay.
And so a lot of them sound really different. But like in the Western cultures, we're more familiar with that one that I just mimicked, that like twangy
Yeah.
and bluegrass. Like mouth harp is still like a big thing. Like
I am going to totally get myself a mouth harp.
Yeah, I mean, they're so much fun, especially for vocalists because like.
I know. Well, that's what I'm thinking.
It's all about like how you change the cavity
Yeah.
of your mouth on the inside and like you're using like reverberation and
Oh my god, that's so cool.
they're really fun. But yeah, they're useless.
Yeah.
So like I ended up just like getting really into like collecting like random like unique instruments and like going on web forums and like early YouTube to see other people that were like collecting and playing those things, and so not really playing music with other people as much. Until like I joined like drum circles and stuff, you know. And then when I moved away from Florida, and I was in my early 20s, I finally started to play in punk bands, which is what I always wanted to do. So I fronted a lot of like punk and metal bands, and yeah, just enjoyed that for a while. And it was really nice and cathartic. And I wrote about the things that made me angry, that still make me angry about, you know, our society. And it was good. It was perfect. And it was really great to like kind of throw classical training out the window.
Yeah.
Especially with vocals. But like now that I'm older, I'm really grateful that I did have some sort of like foundational thing, even though I can't read music for anything anymore. Like,
Yeah.
but like I have
How
the
did
ear.
you start to like learn to read music? Was it from an instrument or was it from vocals themselves?
It was in just like in school, in choir,
Yeah.
just like learning how to
Okay.
read sheet music
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
I can't interpret it now, but it's like
Yeah. Something.
there's stuff in my brain that is good
Yeah.
for music. I think that is what they call the ear.
Yeah. So, Green-House is like an incredible project.
Thank you.
You work with Michael, and it's different than punk music. So I
very
guess I want to kind of
It's very
explore what brought you
Yeah.
to Green-House. And like, you know, we saw an interview of you where you said you're trying to activate like the cute part of the brain.
Yeah, definitely.
And that is just so amazing and so cool. So I
you.
guess like,
yeah,
I guess
so,
what brought you to Green-House and describe that.
yeah, so I think like the things that brought me to want to play metal and punk music were like I already said there was like a lot of feeling dissatisfied and marginalized by the power structures in the US. Just being like neurodivergent and queer and trans and all these things. Just had a lot of like anger and resentment and like built up energy because it's just like all these things are happening and things are pretty bad now, you know. It's like we have all this like stuff being thrown at us all the time, and it's there's nowhere to put it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of therapists right now are even like, they're like, we can help you with like coping with the anxiety, but we can't take it away. Like we can't take like climate anxiety away and all these things. Like, so it kind of, when I was younger, it kind of led me to like make music where I could like scream about it.
Yeah.
But then it's sort of changed for me. It sort of became a thing where I started to think about making more like solution-based or solution-oriented music for the same problem. And this was just for myself. It wasn't like this idea of like, I'm going to help the world, you know? It's like, but it's just like, I'm having a moment where like, I'm at this crossroads where I could either like, quite frankly, choose death or joy.
Yeah.
So this music is like joy as protest, because this isn't like, music that's coming from a place of being a person of privilege, the privilege to like to find joy in my daily life and not feel completely tormented by the hill that I have to climb up every day just for existing, you know?
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
I like to make that clear to people because
Yeah.
my music can really get sucked up by the wellness industry and like the upper middle class like crypto hippie kind of vibe where it's
Yeah.
like they feel like this
Yeah.
is for them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is for their like meditation thing, and it's like it's fine if you guys use it for that, like that's chill.
Yeah.
But like if I'm asked about it, then I'm like, this is my
Yeah.
intention is kind of like you know, maybe for a different demographic, just considering the demographic that it's coming from, it's more
Yeah.
of a joyous protest. So like when I think about things like also like making music that can be interpreted by the brain or by others as silly or cute, what that actually means. It's subversive in a way because in the art world, whether it's music or any other visual art or anything, a lot of times like art that comes from anger or sadness and that has like more of a dark bent to it is taken more seriously as like good and
Yeah.
valid.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, when music's kind of like more like peaceful or calm or happy or cute or funny, that's something that's kind of like pushed away as like trivial, you know? I think it even happened to Enya a lot. It's like an amazing composer, you know? And
I
like
love Enya.
putting
Yeah.
people in the
Yeah.
category of new age was kind of a way to be like, oh, this is just like wacky, silly, spiritual stuff and not like
Diminishing.
not art with substance. So that was a thing for me that I kind of got like really got interested in as like being like not intentionally trying to be subversive because I'm just trying to make music that I like, but like realizing that it is by nature kind of subversive for being like a little bit goofy and happy.
Yeah.
And just kind of trying to like lean into that and like own that.
Join the Night Temple subscription, exclusive behind the scenes footage, exclusive ArtShare community space, monthly Zoom ArtShare hangout, art gallery, film showcase and music playlists, member only free or discount events, community profile space, merch and event discounts, exclusive night tongue music and concerts. Join now.
So yeah, when I first moved to LA, the first couple of years I was like working some jobs that were like pretty straining. We worked one of them together actually.
We did.
Yeah. And I was like, like pretty exhausted after that job that we worked at together. Then I was working at a restaurant in Hollywood and like nights, and it was just like really, really intense. And I was just like seeing a lot of like celebrities and like sketchy behavior going on, and just like it felt really dark, you know? So I was just like not feeling good, was not feeling well mentally, and then barely like surviving financially. So it was just one of those moments where I was like, okay, time to like make a choice, because you're gonna like tip over the edge if you don't do something. So I started walking in Griffith Park like every single day before work. I happen to live like 15-minute walk from like some of the best trails, so I just started walking all the time and just getting my mental health back together. And then it just kind of popped into my head one of the days that I was walking, what if I actually like actively started trying to communicate with plants? Like actively just started like, you know, like just start saying hello to the trees and kind of go from there, kind of a thing. And it like improved my life so much and improved my mental health so much, almost instantly. It just like, it's hard to say because it's not like I was like having like a conversation like people would think. You're familiar with this, you know? Where like it's not like you're just like looking at the tree and you're like, how was your day? And the tree is like, great, how was yours? You know, it's like you give a tree or a plant your attention and your focus, and it fills you with something. I don't know what, but just like some sort of energetic thing. Or it could just be an animal thing. Like, this is just what we're supposed to be doing, is walking around and looking at plants and looking out at the horizon. And that just like is therapeutic, you know?
Yeah.
Either way, it doesn't really matter like the why or the how. But yeah, it just like improved my life so much. So then I started thinking about my relationship to nature, and then I started thinking about like the cultural relationship to nature. Mostly obviously through the lens of like white people in the US, because that's my experience. So like a lot of other white people, I didn't like grow up with that much of like a deep connection to nature that was like instilled in like daily life practices. Some people did. It's like not all white people. Some white people are like farmers, you know what I mean? But like a lot of us that like grew up in cities or suburbs, you know, kind of separated from that in a lot of ways, except for like maybe the gardens you keep or the food that you eat. But it's not something that's necessarily even like talked about, especially in the way that I just talked about, like communicating with plants, right? So, and then there's this idea in our culture that we're separate from nature, that nature either is like some separate destination in which the privileged get to travel and camp and go to, and oh, it's so fucking pretty, but like you have to have a lot of money to do it, or it's separate from us in the sense that we will extract it and take everything from it, and not see it as something that's integral to our survival and our well-being and living in right relationship with it. So I started to think about that a lot. And like which is a lot, you know, but it's been like a slow ongoing process, and my music has reflected each part of the process for me, because the EP that I first made, my first step was like, I'm gonna get some houseplants. I'm gonna like think more about houseplants, and like I'm like, yeah, like I live in the city, and I'm a part of nature, and everything that like lives here in the city, and the plants that I'm talking to on the sidewalk, we're all like sort of aggressively surviving in this like urban environment, and like I'd love to surround myself with more plants indoors that could help purify the air and make me feel a little bit better and make me feel a little bit more connected. So that was just like a very simple step, and I killed a lot of plants. I still do. I'm still like not great with plants. Like, and I try to like tell people this is like, because my project was like my EP was like a concept thing about around plants. So like I had a lot of people assuming through that work that like I was like this plant knowledge type of person. I'm like, oh no. Like, kill plants. This is just like the concept. This is just a reflection of like the process that I was going through internally, and how I was trying to like figure out ways to reconnect as like a grown toddler when it comes to like, you know, plants. So it started from there, and then the first album that I did after that, Music for Living Spaces, and the EP was called 6 Songs for Invisible Gardens. Music for Living Spaces was more of like an evolution of like, then I'm starting to think about how, you know, since we're not separate from nature, we are nature, you know, like our homes are our habitats. Like, what can we do in our habitats to sort of feel connected to nature where we are, and how can we enhance our spaces in ways that like just feel a little bit more in tune with how we've evolved to be. Yeah. So like nature sounds in your house, okay? Like that's the simplest form of it. It's just like, you know, and then like
instant frequency transmission, right?
Exactly. Sounds that are soothing to me, which is why like, yeah, I work with computers and synths, but I'm definitely more into like the Moog philosophy versus Buchla. When they both started making sense of like the Moog ideology was trying to mimic sounds that were already organic or existed. So I'm trying to do that with my like computers and synths, which for a while I thought was like me trying to find like something more natural within the technology. But then Caitlin Aurelia Smith, I asked her one time, because she does just modular, and she was like, there's nothing more like natural than pure electricity. And I was like, word.
I was thinking kind of something like that too while you were talking. I was like, I feel like it is natural.
It is natural. Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, like just see, there's all these like dark blind spots that I still experience.
Yeah.
With like the way that we're indoctrinated to think that like we're separate from nature. Like or that there's anything around us that isn't made
Isn't
up
made
of
of nature, yeah.
It's like somehow like that's the fact. Those are the facts, and
Yeah.
somehow we're like indoctrinated with ideas that are separate from that, and it's obviously to keep us complacent in like the extraction of the Earth's resources and
Yeah,
the degradation
exactly,
of So like there's a reason for it, but
Yeah.
there's all these blind spots all the time where you're like, this feels unnatural, and you're like, but it's electricity. Okay.
Yeah.
There's different perspectives.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the evolution. There was just trying to like think about environmental music, and I'm like obviously to anybody who listens to Japanese environmental music or has gotten into that, obviously a huge inspiration of mine. And this was just like Japanese musicians in the 80s and 90s were oftentimes some of the best stuff they wrote was music for corporations to like enhance the experience of shopping or being in a capitalistic environment, which is really funny, but it's like but like I thought about that too. I thought about like like the way that like our environments are so hostile and counterintuitive to like human and animal life and plant life everywhere you go in cities. It's like just a barrage of crap. It's like, and I'm not coming for any particular music genre, but when you go into a grocery store or a shopping center and they play something in a particular BPM on purpose, and they select a specific type of music that's going to just drive you to buy more, and it's music that makes you anxious, and it's combined with like these fluorescent lighting and like just like all this stuff that just makes you like, oh fuck it, I'll buy it all and I'll get out of here, and like so like and the composers that started the Japanese environmental music, they were really inspired by like minimalist composers like Satie and stuff like that. So there's like a whole storied thing with that, and I was really inspired by that, and just I've taken a lot from that, and like the way that I've tried to figure out how to make like soothing and minimal music to enhance your space, or music as wallpaper. Like I just really loved that concept. It felt so like mind-blowing to me when I first came across it, because I just never thought about music in that way. So like artists like Hiroshi Yoshimura and Harumi Hosono just like kind of changed my life, like changed my brain, and like rewired some shit real fast, which is the power of art, right? So that's and then I have a new album coming out really soon. I don't know if you knew that.
I saw talk of it. Yes. I saw talk of it online.
It's called A Host for All Kinds of Life, and it was just like I started listening to these people who own this shop/arts collective in town called Cactus Store. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
No, I'm not. I'm gonna check it out.
They're some heady dudes, and they like they read a lot.
Yeah.
And they like I started like hanging out with them and going to like some of their events and talks where they like talk about things like Lynn Margulis and the Gaia theory, and I was like, what the hell is this? And just talking about like I guess just sort of thought leaders that were sort of moving us all away from the ideas perpetuated by Darwinism and into other ideas about how nature functions and how evolution functions, and how it's like a lot more based off of like things other than aggression and sex. Go figure.
Yeah.
And like a much more like subtle, complex, beautiful, and intelligent things.
That sounds incredible.
I love it, and the things that lead you to think about like non-human intelligence, and how narrowly we've defined intelligence in other species, and non-human kin and non-human teachers, and what we can actually like learn from them, and how we can expand so much through that process and make a lot of changes that are necessary for living in right relationship with the planet. So my macrocosmic this time.
Yeah.
So
sorry.
Is that about like the intelligence of the whole? Is that kind of what that's about?
Yeah, it's a lot about like connectedness.
Yeah.
Like I wish I knew more. That's why I was like, these guys are smart and read a lot, and I listen to them.
Do you know
Yeah.
what they're reading?
Well, they bring up Lynn
What-
Margulis a lot.
Lynn Margulis. Okay, so Lynn
Yeah.
Margulis is a jumping off point for like.
Yeah, that's I would say a
Exploring.
good jumping off point. And
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
um,
I'm
gosh,
gonna
there's so
I'm gonna
many-
jump off that point.
I'm so bad at I'm so bad at, I'll just send you stuff because I'm
Mouth
actually
harps
really
and
bad at like
Lynn
remembering this stuff.
Margulis. Is
Yeah.
that right? Okay.
Yeah.
But
But I'll find it and send
the
it to
Gaia
you.
theory, is that
Yeah.
what it's about?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm trying
I
to
love this.
not
yeah.
say too much about what that theory actually is because I'm uneducated about it.
You know, as humans, we have known when we lived more in sync with nature, we had more connection to community in the whole, and
Yeah.
the effects and the impacts that we have on each other and the environment.
Yeah, which seems like
environment.
so simple.
It is.
And this is why like I want to be
Yes.
as transparent as possible about like this experience that I've been going through as a like disconnected white person. Like that this is very simple,
Yeah.
basic shit, and I know this.
Yeah.
But it's actually like really, really deep and really, really important.
yeah.
And a lot of people haven't even like explored these subjects.
Yeah.
So, you know, because there's, you know, indigenous people that are, you know, completely on a different wavelength entirely with this. Like this is very basic level stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just like my experience right now.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we all have to start somewhere, and if we don't like,
I mean,
if we
it's
don't
hu-
all start somewhere, then you know we're not going to be able to like.
If we
make
can
this happen.
shift ourselves into that, I mean, the impacts, even, you know, politically, environmentally, like, are massive.
Yeah. And it's such a really cool like feedback loop when you think about it, which just like again gets into the like macrocosmic of like it's all connected, isn't it? Because it's like you start to think about your mental health and what you can do in your immediate environment or in your life, and then you start to think about like the world impact on your mental health. And so with this music project, it's like I immediately jump to thinking about how hostile the cities are, how hostile the environments are that we are brought up in, that we live in, that we deal with every day. And so I've gotten involved with projects like a sound installation at the airport at LAX, or
nice.
or I did a Metro LA one and the trains, you know,
Amazing.
because it's like it's stuff like that. I'm just like like some of the stuff that that really that we could change, that could really affect like a greater change on like a macrocosmic scale is fucking urban planning, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just like our environments are really hostile, you know.
They are. And
There's
you
even
know-
hostile architecture to, you know, keep homeless people and birds away, and
Yeah.
it's also
Yeah.
just like a sexist planting of trees that aren't fertile, so that we can't find fruit and food to forage. And there's literally like a bunch of people's allergies react so badly every year because it's all male trees.
I didn't know
Like
that.
it's so fucked up. Like it's all so fucked up.
Oh my God, I didn't know
And so,
that.
it's like you
These
start
male
getting into this.
trees?
Just to avoid having like fruiting trees throughout our cities. And then just lack of trees in general, unless you're in wealthy neighborhoods, like there's no shade trees in the poor neighborhoods, and like
No,
so
yeah.
it's very much a class thing. It's very much a race
Classist.
thing.
Yeah.
And it's like happening in very real ways, just with urban planning alone. And so
Yeah.
that's stuff that I think about a lot, and just from like the little stuff to the big stuff, because it's even just the sounds that we are exposed to on a regular basis.
They affect the nervous system so much. It's funny. I was in Japan for like, I don't know, it was a very, very short stopover, like 1 or 2 days, and the train stations played very light, relaxing music.
Really?
Yeah.
They're
and
on it.
It
on
was just everywhere you went, you felt safe because there was this like subconscious kind of element of music that was creating a feeling of safety.
Oh, I don't know if this is true, but it reminds me of how I heard that elevator music became a thing because back when elevators were first invented, they would malfunction quite a bit.
Really?
And so, like, and I don't know if this is true, but, like, playing, like, writing, composing and playing, like, soft music in the elevator was to, like, soothe people's fears because,
That was stuck.
or maybe even in general, if they didn't fail a lot in the beginning, it was still a new technology and people were very
Right.
afraid. Elevators are scary still for people.
Yeah.
So it was like the term elevator music or like actual elevator music, like that was the intention of it, was to get people to like get in these elevators and utilize them, because people were apprehensive at first. And I love that.
I love that so much.
Like
And
we are animals. And I've thought about this a lot more because I got diagnosed as autistic, like it's been 2 years now.
Yeah.
A little late in life diagnosis. It's
Yeah.
quite an uptick of it lately.
Yeah.
It's interesting how like my sensory overload and my inability to like process or shut out sensory sounds in the ways that like non-autistic people can has led me naturally before getting my diagnosis to like think about this shit so much and start like making music around that and thinking about like basically thinking about my own support needs and building something from there, and how like the process of doing that, like people have connected with it of all neurotypes, because it's just whatever my needs are, it's going to be the same as everybody else.
Nighttime, euphoric bliss days. Elevate your mind, body, and spirit. Wash away all tension and infuse yourself in the ecstatic floral wonder that is nighttime, euphoric bliss days.
I feel lucky though, because after like I have put my mom through a lot of mind expansion.
Yeah.
She was there for my top surgery last year.
Yeah.
Like, Mom, I'm cutting my tits off now. She's like, all right, don't die though. I just don't want you. It's like, we got this. We're going to San Francisco. It's good there. It's good here. And and she lives in South Florida where like things are politically
things are
very
very
intense right
different,
now.
yeah.
And she's like, but she's kind of like, she's fighting for trans rights and more vocal about it. And
That's
like,
awesome.
that's not something that would have occurred in her life for her
Yeah.
otherwise,
Yeah.
because we really, despite what politicians have been trying to push, we are still a very, very small percentage of the human population. So most people don't know another trans person.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I've put her through a lot.
Yeah.
I'm just, like queerness and, all like every like alternative lifestyle practice that you can think of that I've tried over the years, and it's just like, all right.
Was she religious or anything like that too?
She is Christian.
Yeah. Because I feel like
Not like super like religious, but
yeah,
but I think definitely. And my sister
just
being atheist
transforming
and
the landscape of what that means in America. I mean, I think that's a big thing too.
Yeah, and like I really like have to give her credit for like being like a Christian boomer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like being like taking it all, like actually like loving her children enough to like to validate our lifestyles and who we are and all of that stuff is like really, really cool, because a lot of people don't get that. I only had that with the one parent, but that's pretty good odds. Yeah.
Actually,
So I'm like,
today it is.
like black sheep, but also sitting pretty good. Because they're like, okay, we will change. You're like, all right.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and she's a big fan of the music, and it's really great. Yeah.
And it's awesome music. How are you not a fan of?
Yeah, if you
music?
can put it on when you're going to the dentist,
I mean,
That's what it's for. That's what it's for, people. Getting your dog to go to sleep or your children. I recommend it for that.
Yeah.
Settle down time.
And just like, I don't know, I can't always cope with having something too intense on. Like
Same.
too intense emotionally even,
Yeah.
Something that I love, but it's really emotional. There's a time and there's a place for different, styles
I
of
love talking to
music.
other musicians about this. I always ask other musicians because I'm like, I feel like we feel music a little bit differently. And it's a very highly like emotional and connected and intense experience sometimes. So like I can get overstimulated by like music of any kind, and just kind of sometimes I just listen to only nature sounds for a little while because I still like to have noise on.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes it's just like I'm crawling in my skin a little bit. I'm like, it's too music. It's just too much. And so I always make the joke with other musicians, like, I fucking hate music. And also because I do like. There's also more to this though, because it's also like it's just like when your life is like in your career and everything is like wrapped up around music, and then you're just constantly aware of it more and paying attention to it. You're watching TV shows and film and
It's
listening to the score and everything's music, and then like you have a very like critical thought process, which isn't a bad thing. It's just that's the way that it is when you write music. You're like you're criticizing.
Yeah.
When you hear like other film scores and stuff, especially, you're just like, damn, like this fucking Dune score really sucks, you know, like, or whatever it might be.
Or it's awesome, or I like
Really.
that they did this thing, or
Yeah.
this
or
thing's
you're,
over
or
the
you're
top, or I
processing it,
wouldn't-
in a positive, critical way.
Yeah,
Where you're just
yeah.
like, you know, but it's like you're always processing it, and
it's your always processing.
and
yeah.
just when you're like aware of like, as somebody who releases music, you're aware of like how many people release music and how much like options are out there, just constantly flooding
Yeah.
every single, you know, it's just
Yeah.
like there's so much music out there that you're just like, fuck everything. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's where people that are really true music fans are just like amazing to me.
I love them. We need them.
I mean, music
Yes.
fans are like the people that I don't know, they get it.
Yeah.
It's like, as a musician, you can't always get it because it's too much.
yeah.
Because you're processing it all the time too much.
Yeah, and then you're
But-
doing your own thing.
I think
Yeah.
sometimes as a musician you have to teach yourself to be a listener sometimes as well.
Oh my god, so
Yeah.
true.
Like
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, I've just gone through periods where I'm just where it's just like, where you're just in that zone, everything's function, analyzing constantly,
Yeah.
and then sometimes you have to go, I want to be a listener, you know, I want to listen to something.
yeah.
Because we can be music fans too, you know.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
like,
it's
but I think
my
it's
God,
like you have
maybe
to give
that's why,
ourselves
like-
permission or something. You
Yeah.
know?
That's why wallpaper music appeals to me, or like especially library music.
Yeah.
It's just like I love like library music, especially like 70s and 80s
Yeah.
stuff, because it's just like some fun, goofy sounds that you can just like pure enjoyment. Like you're not
Yeah.
necessarily like analyzing it. Also because a lot of the people who produced a lot of the library music that I listen to are just way better musicians than I'll ever be. They're like jazz people and classical people, and they're like doing studio time and slapping together a bunch of junk for something, and like, so it's also like, like I can't really analyze my way into trying to play like that,
Yeah.
and I'm
I
not
don't think you need to play
criticizing.
Like that.
Like I'm not analyzing. Like I'm
Yeah.
just like listening to like
Yeah.
library music in the background. So maybe
Yeah.
that's why I like that so much. Actually, I never really
Yeah.
thought about it, because like, yeah, some other genres of music, it's like I don't know how to be a listener.
Yeah.
Mm.
But you know, there are people of all different, you know, art forms that use music as the impetus for their art, like visual artists
Yeah,
and filmmakers will write, you know, scripts and
yeah,
around songs and song
Yes.
ideas.
our
and
favorite
stuff like
people.
that. Yeah.
yeah.
And that's like a magical thing to me. It's just
Yeah.
because I get that fuel from film.
Mhm, me too.
Yeah, it's
And it goes
like,
both ways, because I get visuals like when I'm writing music. I have like visual stories in my head
Yeah.
too sometimes.
even art, visual art, you know,
Yeah.
can fuel so much emotion. But
Yeah, I've written songs based on books I've read, and
Yeah.
books, literature, yeah. I mean, even just poetry can sometimes just open up
Yeah.
a universe of experience.
Oh, that's so
Um,
true. I feel like I've written like over the last 15 years, or at least like 4 or 5 songs based off of like one line from a Rumi poem that I remembered one time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because it was just like this interesting concept about looking for everything outside of yourself, and then finally realizing that it was you that you were looking for all that time. And it's just such a good little juicy little,
That's so
like you can
Yeah.
just like write a million songs about that,
Yeah.
which is like why Rumi is the shit, you
Yeah.
know. Like,
yeah.
but yeah, and but I do like really appreciate people who just collect music, and that's like their thing.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Those people are
Yeah.
so amazing. The people
Yeah.
who like, they follow all these small labels, like the one I'm on, they ask you to like sign it, and they're just like stoked
Yeah.
to be collecting music, and archival people,
Yeah.
like people, they just have the
yeah.
mind for that. That's like their hobby, their thing, their special interest is like
Yeah.
Yeah.
being an archivist is like I'm so grateful that the like people who think like that and engage with music that way exist, because like we wouldn't exist without them. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
it's just so nice.
Yeah. So a question that I have for you
Hmm.
is, do you see over the course of your artistic life any major themes that have come up?
Like the main like
What are the threads? What are the things?
The-
What are the
thematic,
threads?
yeah.
For you, yeah, what are
coming
the...
back to?
this is a really fun question.
Yeah.
I gotta think about this. So I mentioned one already, which was kind of like the political. I've always just been very very politically concerned, and I can't seem to like turn that off. So it finds its way in my music, whether it's like very literal or not.
And the political concern there, is there a theme? Like, is there a repetitive
Yeah.
theme there? Something
Yeah,
that is...
capitalism, patriarchy, and white supremacy, the trifecta of what's running our world.
Yeah.
Just a lot of themes around that, and like, and like when I was younger, maybe more obnoxiously like leaning into those themes to sort of get it out. And then now, like I said before, is like just shifting the way that I tackle those themes and like making music that's solution oriented. So that I can't turn that off from being a theme. That's just like my brain doesn't stop doing that. It's actually really annoying. So that's just like part of how I am. Like I sometimes wish that I wasn't. What else? Yeah, that's
I'm
like
glad
a
you're that way.
huge. I am too. I just I need to sometimes know when to like pull out those conversations with people and when not to.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like maybe not everybody wants to talk about this at the like barbecue right now. Maybe they didn't want that to be linked to that in this moment. Maybe it's a little less helpful and a little bit antagonistic in this moment, Olive. Maybe you're being antagonistic. And like people aren't going to get the message because of the delivery. It's like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I think is just like a growing up kind of thing. You have to
very
learn
much
how to
relate,
how to tackle those things, communicate those things.
Yeah.
What other themes? I mean, like, my love for nature has definitely always been a theme, but especially animals. Like you've seen my Instagram; it's just all cute animals and cute critters.
I don't know how you find that stuff. It's amazing.
I'm not either.
People need to follow Green-House on Instagram.
If you want cute pictures of animals, then
it's very...
I'm your person. But
it's very joyous.
and then like my sloths that I perform with, my stuffed sloths, of which I have 14. I started doing that in my punk bands back in the day. So it's been a while that I've been doing that. My sloth, my first sloth, he would sit on the amp with me. But just like my love for like cuteness and cute little critters, like no matter like what my projects have been, I've always found a way to like incorporate
That's awesome.
that, just like by nature of just like being myself. It's just like, this is what you get.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like a lot of people don't know that, and sometimes I think people assume that like having my stuffed animal might be a little gimmicky or something for this particular project, and it's not. It's just like authentically like my stuffed sloths are like my family. They're very important to me, and I like to have them with me and part of my music projects. So
I mean, I feel like I totally get that.
animals,
Nature, animals. So other plant life, like a new...
like
portion.
really, like really thinking about them to the point where I'm like channeling any of the ideas of plants through my music is definitely like more of a new thing.
Yeah, I love that though. That's just magical. Yeah,
I'm happy about it. Like I'm happy that I started that
Yeah.
and like made that choice. And okay, so something I want to share real quick along those lines. Being a trans person in like our current time, in our current part of the world, because we're facing so much attack right now. Like there are people who are literally going insane over our existence, and we are nature though, and we've been a part of nature for forever. And we were silenced for so long, and we're going through like a period, and this applies to so many groups of people who've been silenced. We're going through a period where we're with social media and the internet changing everything, just this spread of information. Like we can't really be silenced anymore in the way that we used to be.
Yeah.
So we're showing face,
Yeah.
and some people are losing their shit. Like
Yeah.
they're mentally unwell, and so they can't handle accepting the truth, the reality that we've always been here.
Yeah.
So I think about it in that way, but like I also think about how I think about the orcas that have been attacking boats. I think about nature talking to us right now.
Yeah.
Like literally talking to us and showing us that what we're doing needs to change immediately.
Yeah.
So that's been like a huge like driving point for me. So that makes me feel a little bit like things are going to right themselves if we keep up with the struggle, and that the violence against all of us is like madness that
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
just
it is
a
form of
natural
madness.
byproduct of change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully, it's a good note to end on. I
It's a
think.
good
Yeah,
note
that's a
to
good note
end
to end
on.
on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been
Thank
such
you.
a pleasure having you
It's
here.
amazing
really
to
fun.
talk to you
Yeah.
and hang out and
Yeah,
see
it's been a
you.
while. It's nice to see you too.
Yeah.
It's great to see you.
Yeah, everyone really should check out Green-House. It's amazing, and
Soothe yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
follow on social media for amazing, cute animal,
Critter content.
critter content.
Critter content.
And thank you again, Olive.
Thank you. Thanks
Thank
for having
you.
me.
Thank you.
Roses floated on the pond. Whisper